On this video, we're going to do something a little different because what I'm doing now is I'm clearing out all my TVs from 2013 and just doing the last few comparison to the 2014 models. As we all know, 2025 is here and I do expect a lot of new models to start coming in, so I need to clear out my inventory. Before we get into all the details, just want to show you behind the scenes what it takes to get these reviews done so you can kind of get a better understanding of what it takes to make these type of videos. Now, of course, you always see the TVs here, but what you don't see is this right here. I have a curtain system that I hung up around the whole entire room, and the good thing is that I can slide it to kind of keep from the glare. Now, most time I use this camera right here, and I have a few of them, but this is the Sony FX3, which is a cinema camera, and it allows me to record in HDR. Also, I have a 20mm lens on it, and I have the wireless microphone that goes along with it. And then I have a Manfrotto stand, as you can see right here. Now, as far as recording, I don't use the memory cards that's in the camera. I use this right here. This is a Ninja 5V recorder, and it allows me to record everything. And as you can see right there, I have it listed as HDR. But that's my point of view when I'm making videos. I don't really look at the TV so much directly, but this gives me a better understanding what the picture is going to look like when I put them side by side. It also helps me keep from having a lot of blowout on the camera too, because I always set my camera for the brightest picture. I use 4 Apple computers. I have 2 of them in this studio and 2 in my other studio, which is where you see all the white screens at. And I have another studio that I haven't showed you guys yet, but that'll be coming soon. And all the noise over here is coming from these hard drives right here. So I have a QNAP server right there, and this is auxiliary unit. So we're talking up to 100 terabytes of storage that these computers edit off of. Before I start most videos, I do a lot of research and make sure that everything I'm telling you is correct, but sometimes the information I get is wrong. So if I share that, I do apologize, and I try to correct it when I do find out that I made a mistake. Now, to access the server, I did make a bunch of passwords and everything, but what I do is, for example, I'm doing a comparison video. I would just go in here, TV comparison, make a new folder, and we'll call this Hisense U7K versus Hisense U7N. The next thing I do is I open up Final Cut Pro, and that's what I use most time. And the main reason I like Final Cut is because it allows me to take this footage and drag it right into the timeline, and I don't have to load it onto the hard drive and then actually put it into the project. So it allows more of a seamless type of scenario. Now I have Final Cut open. I'll just go over here and hit New Library. I then go look for the folder that I created in the server. I then go back to the comparison video, and then I want to go ahead and start the same path of where I put the original folder at. Then I have to go over here and modify the settings. I'm going to choose that same path. That way it makes a backup in the system. Since I have a server, it could be slow at times. I do have SSD for cache. But what I do is I'll go over here into movies, and I put all my cache on the computer locally. That way the project can go pretty smooth, especially using these large files that I use. Once I get that created, I go to modify. I like to upload in HDR, which I'm planning on doing a lot more this year. And then I create a new project. I then paste the name of it again. I go down here to HLG and hit OK. And now we're ready to start uploading files. Now, since I make a full video on all these TVs, I try not to make them perfect. So I have a couple of switchers I use for just giving the comparison. And generally, I like to keep everything at 4K 60 frames per second because it's hard to find 120 hertz switchers. As far as a switcher, I use this ATM right here. And the thing about this one is that it can support 4K 60 frames per second. I have my PS5, Xbox, Apple TV, and a computer plugged in it right here. So that gives me all my inputs. But I do use a 120 hertz splitter right here. So I can go to TV1, TV2, TV3, and TV4. For the other side of the room, I use this O-ray adapter. It is 4K 60 frames per second, but this is a sender. So one of these inputs go into here, and then over here we have a Ethernet output that runs over this box through the Ethernet cable. And then over here it has an HDMI. But keep in mind, when I do some reviews on this side of the room, I generally bring all the consoles over here. Now, speaking of consoles, I use a PS5 and I have a SSD connected to it for demos. And then on this side, I have a Xbox Series X. And again, that one has external drive on it as well. So if you guys ever want to make TV videos, this is how I use my setup. And keep in mind, I started doing this in 2011. So I built up all this equipment over years. So it takes a lot to get to this point. But I'm very grateful that you guys subscribe to me and support the channel so I can keep it going. But that's all I have on this episode of Steve Does Tech. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.